I want to talk a little bit about, to get to know you a little bit for people who maybe don't know you. You grew up in a small town in Iowa, right? Pretty small town. How big of a town was it?
Grew up in a town of about 1,000 people, Appleton, Iowa. Grew up in the country.
So my wife grew up her family grew up in Charles City, Iowa. Is that close there? Or is that?
Yeah, very close.
Is it?
Probably about 40 minutes or so.
Okay.
Yeah, so very close.
Okay.
Charles City's a little bigger though. That's like a big city.
A big city.
Yeah.
Well, it's
compared
not very
to
big.
No, it's not very big.
So
grew up in the country, a little small farm. So
how did you start playing basketball? I mean, how does that come out? Don't they raise football players in Iowa? Isn't that the thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of football players. I wasn't very big. I was only like 140 pounds most of my high school career. So, I had an assistant coach, Speed Limberg was his name, and he would have me dribble into town on the gravel road and in and out of town, and that's how I kind of fell in love with basketball.
Did you actually have a place to play on the farm? Is like the story of like the basket on the side of the barn?
With a cement pad, it wasn't on the side of the barn, but we had a cement pad with a hoop and things, and so we spent a lot of hours out there. There was 5 of us siblings, so we had some pretty good, 2-on-2 games.
Are you the youngest of those siblings?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest of the siblings. Yeah. So was it all a sporting family? Everybody involved in sports growing up?
Yeah, everybody was involved with sports. I played basketball in Northern Iowa. My brother Jared played football at Iowa. My brother Dusty played football at Iowa. I have a sister, Jody. She played volleyball at Northern Iowa. And then my youngest brother, Jay, played football for a little while at Wartburg College.
Wow. Were your parents? How does that happen? How do you in a small town in Iowa? How do you grow up with all that success in sports?
Yeah, I don't know. You grow up in a small town. You had to play them all. Every sport. You didn't have a choice. You were out for every season. You just switched to the new sport. So you grow up, loving sports, and we have a very competitive family in that way, and really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah. Were your parents coaching at all? No.
No, they were. My dad worked for the county, and then did farming as well. And my mom's a beautician out in the country. She had a little kind of parlor off to the side of the house that she worked at and still does to this day.
Yeah, but it's kind of a. I mean, obviously you have a lot of people in your family. Your son, obviously, did he start playing basketball at a young age too?
Yeah, about as young as it can be. It's.
Were you always a coach? Were you always coaching his teams?
Yeah, always a coach. I never coached his teams. So.
Oh, you didn't coach?
No, I didn't coach his teams. I stayed away from that.
Okay.
I volunteered maybe for a little bit of baseball a few years where they needed some help, but outside of that, I let the other coaches tell them what to do.
Yeah. Is that okay? So until at some point you did become his coach. What was that transition like?
Yeah, it was not until he came to Drake with me when I got the head job at Drake University. So, it was one of those things where you never know how that's going to go, just that interaction things. But it's been a tremendous experience for us. We've enjoyed every minute. And the really good part is he's had, incredible teammates around him as well. And that's what's made it so much fun.
But give me a dad moment, though, right? There's got to be a dad moment, like where how do you balance that? You're in practice or you're in a game. Does it feel like your son, or does it feel like it's another player?
I think you get a little bit of both. I think for the most part, it's player coach. There's been a few moments. I remember one. It was in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. We were down by 1. Basically no time left on the clock, and he's shooting free throws. And there was a dad moment there where I was actually nervous for him as his dad to make these free throws. But overall, it's been it's been great just to be able to experience everything together that we're going through.
Yeah. Have you learned anything about coaching from? It's because it is a different dynamic when your son's on there. Does it taught you anything about how to educate or talk to kids, or has it just been sort of a one-off experience where you think, okay, this is just, I'm going to treat him sort of like everybody else in the team?
I mean, I had the luxury, I guess, of being a part of when Greg McDermott and Doug McDermott were together at Creighton University. And I was assistant coach, so got to see that father-son dynamic, and certainly Doug was one of the best to ever play college basketball. So that was a joy to watch that and be a part of that. That they got to experience as a father-son. Yeah. And now I know I'm getting to do some of those same things with my son. It's not really about the games. It's all the other stuff that you get to enjoy with him.